Next, we want to introduce Anthony Eterno from the U.S. State Department. He's going to be talking this morning about investing in the Caribbean while we're all here, of course, from the United States perspective.
I'd like to thank Felicia for your invitation and your extraordinary work at ICN and Heartbeat Communications, distinguished guests and friends. Before I came here, I told my wife, who's Vincy, that I'd be giving a presentation, and she said, "Don't mush it up," so I'll try not to do that. I'm very excited to be here today to talk to you a little bit about the U.S. government's approach to trade, investment, and our priorities and efforts to improve economic growth and prosperity and ensure trade and investment flourish. With the launch of the President's National Export Initiative in early 2010, all agencies with a role in U.S. international trade, including the Department of State, were asked to play a more active role in export promotion. In the State Department, we're using what's called economic statecraft, that approach that uses the tools of diplomacy abroad to support trade and the rights of U.S. investors abroad. This is helping us to leverage the strengths and expertise of the U.S. Private sector and our economic engagement overseas, and it's also helping us to use our overseas presence to grow our economy at home by attracting foreign investment to the United States and increase trade. Some of the challenges in the Caribbean, there are a few. A major one is that many Caribbean countries are struggling to bolster economic resilience and growth in an era of economic volatility. While dependency on imported fuel for energy and food, combined with the threat of natural disasters, increases their vulnerability to external conditions. We've seen how, for example, the slowdown in the United States has impacted the Caribbean through exports, remittances, and tourism. That's the bad news. The good news, and I'm with Felicia on this, is that the people of the Caribbean are dynamic entrepreneurs, highly educated, hardworking, ambitious, and optimistic. They know what they have to do, and they know how to do it. And then the world knows it too. Although below the peak reached in 2008, foreign direct investment flows in the Caribbean increased last year for the third consecutive year, according to the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. The biggest recipient in the region is the Dominican Republic, where revenue grew 59% in 2012. Recognizing the many strengths in the Caribbean and its proximity to the world's largest market and source for tourists, the U.S. Department of State is facilitating trade to create favorable business and investment climates. In 2012, U.S. imports from Caribbean countries under the Caribbean Basin Initiative totaled more than $11 billion, representing a 178% increase over the past decade. U.S. exports equaled nearly $12 billion, representing a 133% increase over the past decade. Through Caribbean Basin Initiative, we've also eliminated tariffs on 85% of Caribbean manufactured goods. To further this progress in trade and investment, as Felicia was saying, the Vice President traveled to Trinidad and Tobago recently and just signed the United States Caricom Trade and Investment Framework Agreement. And through this agreement, the U.S. Caricom Trade and Investment Council, created under the TIFA, as we call the Trade and Investment Framework Agreement, will work to strengthen investment ties. The TIFA will also be essential to spurring economic development and diversification of the region and to contributing to improvement in the well-being of citizens. It takes into account the multilateral trading environment created by the WTO, as well as changes in regional environment brought on by the implementation of the Caribbean single market economy. Areas of action will include, but not be limited to, matters related to WTO, bilateral trade and investment arrangements, cooperation in regional and multilateral areas, and support for regional integration. It will also focus on the digital divide through the promotion of innovation and the dissemination of technology. The U.S. has also concluded the Open Skies air transport agreements with 6 CARICOM members. Open Skies agreements greatly increase options for airlines, passengers, and shippers and help promote increased travel and trade, enhance productivity, and spur high-quality job opportunities and economic growth. We're creating a positive investment climate at the local level as well, making tangible progress in numerous communities across the region. Funding from the State Department is supporting the adaptation of the U.S. Small Business Center model in 5 Caribbean countries, which includes Belize, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Barbados, and Dominica. This will generate more jobs in the Caribbean, facilitate greater regional trade, including with the U.S. and Latin America. We've we've refocused our efforts to promote inclusive growth. Under the Pathways of Prosperity initiative, we're placing Treasury Department advisors in the CAFTA-DR region to help build capacity infrastructure finance and public-private partnerships, and to work with the central banks to help unlock the barriers to greater financial inclusion. To improve competitiveness, we're supporting customs facilitation workshops for senior-level customs officials in the private sector, which will focus on customs reform and trade facilitation. And we're also working to promote diversity and economic growth. Our Women's Entrepreneurship in the Americas initiative, better known as We Americas, is leveraging public-private partnerships to increase women's economic participation in the Caribbean by overcoming barriers they commonly face when starting and growing their own small and medium-sized businesses. Diasporas in the private sector are key allies in promoting business development as well. The Department of State, with its partners, launched the Caribbean Idea Marketplace, we call the SIM, in November 2011. SIM is connecting diaspora business leaders in the United States with Caribbean entrepreneurs. Investment in energy is also a priority. Under the Energy and Climate Partnership of the Americas, ECPA, Connecting the Americas 2022 aims to reduce Caribbean dependency on expensive imported fossil fuels for power generation. Donors have funded 6 analytical and pre-feasibility studies exploring the commercial and technical viability of inter-island connections that could facilitate renewable energy development. Also under ECPA, the Department of Energy is engaging the Caribbean hotel and hospitality sector to shape a greener energy market by embracing energy-efficient renewable energy technology solutions and supporting government efforts to advance clean energy policies. Security continues to be a priority in the region for both the U.S. and the Caribbean, but we are focusing on security as a mechanism that facilitates economic growth. This is because security and growth are not mutually exclusive, but rather are two sides of the same coin. Business and investment thrives in secure and predictable environments, as we know, and security thrives when communities have access to economic opportunity. Our Caribbean Basin Security Initiative, which I work on, works to create a secure environment where growth can thrive without the interruptions, obstacles, and distractions we see prevalent in other countries that are struggling to maintain security. The Obama administration has dedicated so far more than $203 million to this initiative. So this is our long view, and it's just a brief overview of some of the opportunities we see that will help boost trade, investment, and economic exchange between our regions in the world. This long-term vision is also a testament to our optimism about the future of the Caribbean and the great work we're doing as partners with shared responsibility for improving the quality of life for the people of the Caribbean and the United States. And I want to emphasize partnership and shared responsibility here. On behalf of the State Department, I reiterate the President's pledge at the 5th Summit of the Americas held in Trinidad and Tobago that we seek an equal partnership and that there is no, quote, no senior partner and junior partner in our relations. There is simply engagement based on mutual respect and common interest and shared values. Ours is a relationship that is born out of a strong desire by all of our communities to collectively participate in an improved and sustainable future. This is the kind of relationship that makes us stronger as partners. And I can tell you that in many of the private conversations I've had with business leaders, government officials, unions, friends, and of course even family from the Caribbean, that because of this long-term focus and our proven commitment, the Caribbean knows in its heart of hearts that the United States has its back. In fact, as we see positive results of this strong partnership materialize, creating economic growth and prosperity for all of our citizens, we realize that we all have each other's back. So I'd like to say thank you again to Felicia and distinguished guests and all of you for your support in making the Caribbean truly open for business.